Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to look at the forecast for each life path number for the month of November 2023. Before we get into that, this, of course, is a general reading. If you would like a personalized reading where we'll take a look at your actual personal numerology and dive a bit deeper into that, you can book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. I would love to work with you. On that note, I'm getting ready to put out the the 2024 year ahead forecast for each life path number. I'll probably have those out in early November. Or let's just say mid-November to be safe. But if you're interested in sort of getting ahead of the curve and you want to know your personal year ahead forecast, because it will be different than, potentially different than the life path forecast. If you want to know your personal year ahead forecast, then book some time with me. I would love to look at that for you. I will also include, if you book before January 2024, then I'll include any time up to that point. So if you book now, then you'll get the rest of October, November, December, and then all of 2024 in your forecast for your year ahead. So, and if you book in January, that's great too. You'll get all of 2024. So, if you're looking to maybe get figure out what's going on potentially for the next couple of months, then this is a great time to book because I will throw those additional months in for free. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at November. I can't believe we're already here, but here we are. So let's take a look. Life path number 7. So November, you're going to be working with your own energy. So it's highlighting the energy of the 7. So I'll talk about that in a moment, but I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got Jaguar energy. And this is not surprising, actually, because Jaguar actually makes a really beautiful mascot for the 7 energy. And I'm going to tell you why. So with Jaguar energy, this is sort of like Queen of Swords energy, like in Tarot. And so this is sort of like this energy of profound transformation. And that is sort of the epitome of the journey of the 7 in this lifetime. It's sort of like this journey of transformation where you are on a journey of self-discovery. The journey of the 7 in this lifetime is really does kind of come back to self a lot, right? Because there's a lot of going deep beneath the surface, really figuring out who you are and what you want in this lifetime and standing in your power and what does that look like and how do you communicate that, or how do you share your gifts once you recognize what your gifts are in this lifetime. It just becomes like this journey of truth and getting to a deeper truth of self. So anytime we have a 7 cycle, it's typically usually very transformative, and it's usually about self-discovery and recognizing how our own actions, how we show up in the world, how we move through the world, how that affects the world, right? Or the people around us type thing, or the people that we have contact with, whatever the case may be. But it really is this journey of self-discovery in this lifetime, this deeper self-discovery. And then what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that greater self-discovery? The 7 is the mystic. It's the connection between the physical plane and the spiritual plane and connecting the two, being the bridge between the two. So, following your intuition, following those deeper spiritual messages that come through and creating something or doing something very tangible with whatever that is. So it really does become a journey of sort of integrating all sides of yourself, the very ethereal, spiritual, mystical side of yourself, as well as the very practical, logical, in the body type of energy, that side of yourself. So that's why 7s often need periods of solitude, because there's so much going on within them. There's so much mentally, as well as just feeling, through the chakras and the energy and all those things. There's just so much going on within a 7. I mean, with everybody, but really that is the journey of the 7, is to come to that greater self-discovery, right? One's own truth. And then what are you going to do with that truth? What are you going to do with that greater self-discovery? What are you going to do with merging that mystical side with the more physical side of yourself in your contribution to a greater purpose, the greater good type thing? So Jaguar coming through in the same month that you're working with your own energy, the 7, this has the potential to be profoundly transformative, potentially, or at least start that storyline or continue. Let's say continue that storyline because, again, you're 7. So this is like from birth to death type thing. But with Jaguar coming through, it just sort of intensifies things a little bit for you to sort of recognize a deeper side of yourself, a side of yourself that maybe you've been ignoring, could come to the surface this month to really be acknowledged and looked at and, worked with, integrated, dealt with. The other thing I would say is there's definitely something here with Jaguar as well. And it's so interesting because in a lot of these readings, like big cat energy is coming through. I'm definitely not surprised with you all, though, with Jaguar. But anyway, there's definitely something here about strategy versus impulsivity. So I would say... And, I don't know, a lot of times with 7s, because it is such a very mental, energy, you can really start to overanalyze, overthink, be overly critical, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not typically common for 7s to be very impulsive. Again, it depends on what else is in your chart, but it's not a really impulsive energy. It's more of a I'm going to think through this. I'm going to investigate it. I'm going to get down to the details. It can become almost obsessive at times, but it's a very much dialed in, to the details type thing. So I'm not really thinking that you're going to be too impulsive, but if you are somebody, maybe you have a lot of 5s in your chart. If you are somebody who is more impulsive or tends to be more impulsive, then with Jaguar coming through, there's definitely something here for you to strategize before you take that sort of leap of faith without looking. Do your research, look into it, dig a little bit deeper. Have a strategy in place before you move forward type thing. It's take a risk, but take a calculated risk. And again, I'm not really concerned about that with 7s because it's such a, it's kind of I always use the example, if you tell the 7 that the sky is blue, they're not going to take it at face value. They want to know why, and they're going to dig deeper. And so, because it is that investigative energy. So I'm not really concerned about, you being too impulsive, but if you are someone who might be, just remember Jaguar energy, there's a strategy, there's a method to, before they take action, before they take the leap. And so, of course, you can take that to the extreme where you just don't do anything, right? You sort of cripple yourself because everything has to be perfect. I have to control the environment before I take action. And then, of course, you're sabotaging yourself. So I would say for you all, be that bridge between those energies where it's take the risk, but just do your due diligence before you take the risk type thing. But don't get yourself stuck either to where it's I have to know every single detail about this before I take a risk. That's not what we're saying, right? So yeah, there's also something here with Jaguar energy coming through about being assertive and going after whatever it is that you want, right? So where you're not sort of overthinking it, you're not overanalyzing it, and you're not sabotaging yourself when you get ready to take that leap. It's with Jaguar, the Jaguar is going to stalk its prey to make sure that where it's expending its energy is what best serves it, right? So it's not going to, chase a mouse for 2 miles at full speed to eat a mouse because the mouse is not going to give it the energy that it needs to sustain itself. It wasn't worth the chase, if that makes sense. So the Jaguar is going to stalk, I don't know, let's say a deer. So the Jaguar is going to stalk the deer and make sure that the sort of the kill is worth it type thing to give it its sustenance, right? It's sort of a gruesome example. But anyway, my point is that whatever it is that you are sort of stalking, whatever it is that you're trying to move towards, just make sure just make sure it feels good to you. follow your intuition, obviously, right? Follow your inner compass. Just make sure it feels good for you. And before you take that leap or before you commit to it, just make sure it makes sense, right? So a jaguar chasing a mouse for 2 miles does not make sense. Jaguar chasing a deer for a little while makes sense. It's going to get a greater return of investment. So however that story aligns for you, you can use it. Okay, so for the 7, there's also themes of trust coming in this month for you all. So trust of self, of others, and of the universe. And so what I mean by that is, there's probably going to be some things where you need to make some decisions this month. And so in that decisiveness, use your discernment, right? Again, Jaguar energy. Make sure what you are sort of stalking or what you're going to take that leap of faith on feels right for you. Take the knowledge, take the investigative, all the practical stuff, all the logic, all the knowledge, but also really feel into how it feels for you, how it fits, right? And sort of, does it align with the direction you want to be moving in? If it, falls into alignment with these things, then you can, trust yourself to go after it, to do whatever it is that you're looking to do. But once you make that decision, really be mindful of not second guessing yourself, not beating yourself up if it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to or expected it to, and not allow that to keep you from making decisions in the future or not trusting yourself in the future, right? It's like if something doesn't work out, there's a reason. Why didn't it work? So don't repeat those actions. Just focus on the things that are working, that did work. And then, of course, trusting others. When people enter your life, are you trusting them and letting them show you who they are? Or are you immediately distrusting them because of past actions or past experiences? So there could be things coming up around those themes this month for you as well. And also trusting the universe. Sometimes life happens, and we don't understand why, or it doesn't make sense, or it hurts, or whatever. And it can create this sort of faith-breaking experience where we start to not trust the universe or a higher power or our God or whatever you subscribe to. And there's really this energy, especially with 7 energy, about trust, of trusting the unseen, trusting what we don't have control over, and knowing that whatever is going to be presented to us is for our higher good, and truly trusting that, right? If something doesn't work out, if something terrible happens or whatever, trusting that there's something there for us to extract, to use in our journey forward that will move us towards our higher alignment. And not seeing ourselves as victims of the world, right? Or victims of the universe, or whatever the case may be. So I do think that themes of trust could be coming in this month for you to take a closer look at. How do you show up to that energy of trust? Do you trust yourself? Do you trust others? Do you trust the universe? It's easy to say that, but it's also a very different dynamic when you're moving through it. So give yourself grace, give others grace, give the universe grace as you continue to move through, towards being more trusting. The other thing I would say is, of course, holistic health always comes into play with 7 energy. So I would also say, as far as mental, right? So if you are really in the mind, where it's just like overthinking, overanalyzing, just going, looking for those rabbit holes and then going down those rabbit holes and just not returning. It's like, this is going to be a month, I think, too, where you can sort of practice really, truly calming the mind. And I think I've said this before in one of my readings for 7s, because it's such a theme for 7s, where, you could do some kind of like meditation where your goal or intention of going into that meditation is strictly for the purpose of calming the mind. Just quiet, silence the mind. That's it. You're not looking for any kind of like resolution. You're not looking for any kind of, spiritual answer or like any kind of answer or anything. You're strictly going into that meditation to calm the mind, and find peace within the mind. That can be so powerful and so helpful. And so I would highly, highly recommend that as an option, right, this month, especially if you're someone who, just the mental chatter is hard to stop. It's just overthinking, overanalyzing, and it's to the point of like crippling you or sabotaging you. Then having those kind of tools to help calm the mind or quiet the mind can be helpful. Also, like, acknowledging the thoughts that come in and seeing which ones serve you and which ones you want to cling to and which ones you don't. So there's a lot of different practices that you can do. Just find something that works for you. But I do think you might find this month to be one where there's like a hyper focus on that, where it really is about finding the things that can help you to move forward, right? In a strategic way, and that feels right for you. So beautiful energy this month, very powerful energy coming in this month, but of course, because it's your own energy. So, but I hope it's a great one. Take care, sevens. Bye for now.